Alright, so today we're going to be discussing about the flagship 4K mini LED Samsung QN90B 2022 TV. And we're going to be discussing about the pros and the cons as to when it comes to why this particular model of Samsung's mini LED lineup is actually better than the current newer QN90C, which is also a very good television. But the QN90B is actually a bit better than the QN90C in terms of picture quality, because you actually get a VA kind of panel, whereas on the QN90C you're only basically getting a ADS/IPS panel. Now, to be fair, there actually are some advantages with owning an IPS/ADS panel, and we've actually heard that you can actually get better colors and you actually get better viewing angles. So if you are somebody that has a, basically like almost like a triangular type of couch or whatever in your living room, then that is going to be the TV for you. And if you have large groups that come over and, like, let's say for an example, watch WWE wrestling or, Madden or college football, considering that what you're seeing on the screen, we got Madden 24 just a little bit ago, and we're actually going to be playing our first game in just a bit. But besides all that, so the reasons why that the QN90B is a better alternative over the current QN90C and even the brand new QN90D that's coming out. Now, Samsung has, from what I've heard, Samsung has went back to a VA panel, as from what the rumors and speculations that I've been hearing with this year's new model, the QN90D. But when it comes to the last year previous model, the QN90C, you are basically, like I stated, you're not getting a VA panel that's going to give you, the best in contrast, and especially native contrast. So if you are like somebody that prefers like local dimming turn on, which I don't believe that there, is a lot of people that prefer local dimming off. But if you are somebody that does prefer local dimming off and you just want to get the, the native contrast, well, the QN90B is actually a step up over the last year QN90C, because the native contrast is actually a tad bit better on the QN90B over the 90C version. But that's not the only thing either. Now, what makes this TV also continue to stand out is that with it being a VA panel, you can actually get this TV for, I'm pretty aware, you can actually get it for a really good price depending on what sizes and what is left of this model. Now, this TV may not still be available in the area that you are in, but I know that there is still a decent bit of, like a few bits of stock when it comes to this model. So if you can get your hands on a QN90B, whether it be the 55-inch, the 65-inch, or even possibly the 75-inch, or, and maybe even the 85-inch model as well, then I would honestly recommend you get the QN90B and save yourself some money while also maintaining a, better picture quality and such than compared to the QN90C model. But we've actually had this TV for quite about a little over a year at this point, almost going on a year and 2 months. Now, our screen just got dimmed is what I'm trying to say. I don't know why I said just get, but our screen just got a little bit dimmed, but that's because it's just literally been on the screen that it is, which we are on our PlayStation 4 Pro, right now currently installing Madden 24 to basically see how this year's newest Madden game actually stacks up. Now, I honestly think that for even coming from Samsung's QD OLEDs and LG traditional OLEDs, and even coming from, you know, Hisense and TCL's, you know, mini LED TVs, with this one also being a mini LED, I can honestly say that I am still very, very impressed with the QN90B still to this day, because of how good that the contrast is and how good that the colors are also, and then also the sharpness and just the overall like clarity of this TV still looks pretty darn good. Now, the HDR highlights, I am going to admit, they actually are better on the QN90B than on our Hisense U8H, and I've even seen the reviews of the Samsung QN90C from ratings.com, and there's actually a couple of bit of things that have gotten downgraded over the QN90B, and the color gamut is one of them, and HDR, you know, highlights and such is another thing. But when it comes to like colors and the HDR highlights, like we mentioned, if you go to ratings.com, a site that gives, you know, pretty accurate information when it comes to like how the TVs perform, honestly, it's where we get all of our, you know, information on, you know, the sharpness, colors, brightness, and just the overall, you know, what to expect out of a TV. But when it comes to like, you know, the colors and especially the HDR highlights and all of that, the QN90B is actually a bit better than the QN90C and all that. So honestly, like, if you can find the QN90B, like I mentioned, if it's a 55, 65, 75, or even an 85-inch option, if you can still get your hands on the 2022 flagship 4K mini LED Samsung, the QN90B, I would honestly recommend do that, because you're getting a VA panel that's going to give you the best contrast, and you're also going to get better colors than the current QN90C, and with the QN90D either just launching or getting ready to be released, it's also going to be up there in the more expensive, you know, price range when it comes to pricing. So the QN90B is honestly still a very, very good TV in terms of clarity and just brightness and just overall picture quality, and having the best contrast and also really good local dimming and whatever. And like we mentioned, if you're somebody that prefers local dimming off, you will definitely get still a better native contrast on this particular model than you would on the QN90C. But the QN90D might actually be better, but when you can look at the QN90B for being a good bit less, if it is still available in your current area, then you're just going to be better off to get the cheapest one that's going to be almost exactly the same as the current newer version, being the QN90D. So if you can get the QN90B, if you're somebody that wants a bright room TV and you want a Samsung flagship TV sort of, and you can save some money and get a better picture quality, if you can find the QN90B in your area, then I would definitely recommend you get that version of that TV, whether it be a 55, 65, 75, 85-inch option, or whatever, maybe even like a pretty much lower, you know, size, like 43 or 50-inch. So if you can find the QN90B series mini LED Samsung, then definitely get that TV, because honestly, in 2024, honestly, this TV is a pretty good, solid, bright TV, and really good contrast and colors, and even like we're doing with gaming performance and all that, like, this is still a very good TV. And if you are a gamer and you was wondering if this was a good TV for gaming, well, you're basically going to be in luck, because this is the first flagship mini LED Samsung TV that now gives you all HDMI ports as 2.1, and the brightness and just the overall like gaming bar and such is quite actually excellent on this TV. So honestly, if you can get the QN90B Samsung TV right now, if it is available in your area and you are deciding on whether to get it or not, most likely I recommend definitely get that TV, because you're going to still get really good picture quality, really good black levels, really good contrast, and really good clarity for basically lower price. So that's going to pretty much do it for the QN90B and how the TV is still quite actually excellent in 2024. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new to this channel, and we will keep you posted with more content like this going forward, as well as gaming like we mentioned. And let us know in the comment section down below if you're somebody that already owns this TV, or if this helped you out deciding whether to not get this TV or not. But another thing before I do end the video is, if the TV is not available and you were deciding on the new model or the QN90C, then you would definitely want to go with the QN90C and save a few $100 on that model than compared to buying the brand new model. So that's another thing I forgot to mention. But if you can find the QN90B, definitely give it, because it's not going to disappoint you at all, especially from the camera of our video. So with that being said, rate, comment, and subscribe. This is Tech and Gaming Reviews, and we will see you on the next one.